The ring. He shoved her face into the cake. Frosting smeared across her cheeks, her tears mixing with sugar and laughter. My brother laughed the loudest. The room joined him. My family, a chorus of cruelty disguised as humor. "Come on," someone said, "it's just a joke." My daughter tried to smile through it. The candles still flickered behind her ruined face. I watched. Every muscle in my body locked. And then, Grandpa stood up. He moved like a man shedding years of silence. His hand trembled only once before he took off his ring and slammed it on the table. The sound split the laughter in half. The room froze. What he said next didn't just silence us. It shattered everything I thought I knew about blood. Hours later, I still heard the echo of that ring. It rang in my skull like a slow, tolling bell. I sat in my car outside the house, headlights cutting across the rain. The birthday candles were long extinguished. My daughter was asleep inside, her face still streaked with frosting and humiliation. But Grandpa's words, those didn't fade. He had looked at my brother when he spoke, then at me, then back at the ring. "This," he said, his voice low, "doesn't belong to either of you. Not anymore." No one understood what he meant, but I did. Or rather, something inside me began to understand. The first suspicion came with a photograph, a faded one, hidden behind the frame of an old family portrait in my father's study. Two men stood side by side. My father, my brother, and beside them, a woman who wasn't my mother. She had the same eyes as my daughter. I told myself it was coincidence. Genetics can play tricks. But the mind, it notices what the heart denies. I started watching him, my brother. The way he lingered too long around my wife. The way she smiled back with something carefully contained. The faint cologne on her coat that didn't belong to me. A laugh shared in the kitchen when they thought I was upstairs. I kept quiet. Observation is more powerful than confrontation. People reveal themselves when they believe you aren't looking. The next step was mechanical, methodical. Her phone synced every night. I copied the backup. Hidden messages bloomed like bruises on my screen. Not yet. He's starting to suspect. Then, after the birthday, we tell him. The text was dated 3 days before the cake. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't rage. Rage is a waste of clarity. Instead, I opened the drawer where Grandpa's ring had been placed after the party. It wasn't his ring at all, not originally. Inside the band were initials, not his, not mine. The same initials as my brother's. I visited Grandpa the next morning. He was sitting by the window, looking out at the orchard. When I asked him directly, he didn't deny it. He just exhaled. "Your father," he said, "made mistakes. Your mother never knew. But your brother, he's not your brother, not by blood. The world didn't spin, it crystallized. Pieces aligned, each betrayal clicking into place like machinery. My father, my wife, both repeating the same pattern, just at different ends of my life." I asked him why he slammed the ring down. He smiled faintly. "To remind your father what he passed on. To remind me what silence costs." Silence. That word stayed with me. Silence has texture. It has purpose. It sharpens intention. Over the next week, I gathered proof. Nothing emotional, only factual. DNA from a toothbrush, bank statements, call logs. The patterns were perfect, predictable. My wife and my brother had been together for over a year. The money transfers to an account in his name, the hotel receipts, the messages confirming everything I had already known. But it wasn't the affair that hollowed me. It was the laughter, the cake, the way they humiliated my daughter, a symbol not of innocence, but of possession. As if she were theirs to mock, as if I were already gone. The confrontation wasn't planned, it was inevitable. The family gathered again, dinner at my father's estate. The same dining room, the same table, the same laughter. I arrived late, calm, silent. My father poured me a drink. My brother grinned, the same smug curve that had haunted me since childhood. My wife looked pale, aware that something had shifted. I waited until the plates were cleared. Then, without a word, I placed a small folder on the table. My father looked at it first, then my wife, then my brother. The folder opened with a whisper. Inside, the DNA results, the messages, the account transfers, the photograph. No one spoke. Only Grandpa's ring caught the light between them, glinting like a witness's. "Say something," my wife whispered. I didn't. Silence again, the most loyal weapon I owned. My father's face drained of color. My brother tried to speak but choked on his own breath. Finally, Grandpa, old unshaken, leaned forward. "Looks like the sins found their way home," he said. Then stood and left the table. The rest of us sat in the wreckage. I turned to my wife. "After the birthday," I said softly, "you were going to tell me?" Her lip trembled. "It was a mistake." "No," I interrupted. "It was architecture." She broke then, covering her face. My brother stared at the floor, his laughter gone. My father couldn't look at me. I stood, slowly, calmly. "Keep the money. Keep each other. You've earned it." I took the ring from the table, the one Grandpa had slammed down. It felt cold in my hand, heavy, final. "I don't want this," I said. "It belongs where it started." I said it in front of my brother. The gesture was surgical, a cut with no blood. Then I walked away. Outside, the night air felt clean for the first time in years. The house behind me buzzed with panic, apologies, confusion. But that was no longer my world. Inside me, something had gone utterly still. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't grieving. I was free. People think betrayal destroys you. It doesn't. It strips you of illusions until only the truth remains. And truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. I reached the gate and turned once more toward the house. Lights flickered in the windows. Voices rose and fell. Then, quiet. Absolute quiet. I slipped Grandpa's ring into my pocket, not as inheritance, as evidence. They would live with what they built, and I would live with what I became. Some families keep secrets. Mine keeps graves. And tonight, I buried them all.